Hi, everyone. This is David Auburn. I'm coming to you from quarantine and here to talk about playwriting. I'm going to answer some questions that the MTC Education Department has submitted, and here we go. Where do your ideas for plays come from? Is it a sudden inspiration or is it more like gestation? Ideas for plays for me usually come out of thinking about some kind of problem, and usually the simpler the better. Something that's happening to a person that's creating trouble for them, creating difficulties from them. And the idea for that problem can come from anywhere. It can come from something that's happened to me myself. It can come from things I've heard about from friends or read about. They can be political problems, they can be social problems, things in the news, anything that's bothering someone. And usually, the more it bothers me, the more I feel some kind of personal connection to it, the better. Um, and plays for me also tend to grow pretty slowly. So, usually starting with some very small, simple idea. Again, something that's happening to a person that's troubling them, and gradually playing out the idea and finding out how that problem affects that person and affects all the people around that person. Sometimes that idea grows into a whole play. Most of the time it doesn't. Some of the time it grows a little bit and becomes a one act. Sometimes it just stays a scene. So you never really know how far you can take a particular idea. But I always try to stay open to whatever possibilities emerge while I'm writing. And I never throw any ideas away. So it's very often the case that something that I started and left as a 3-page scene or a 10-page scene, but didn't know what to do with, I'll come back to it 6 months later or 3 years later and realize, hey, this fits really well with something else I've started thinking about. So I guess the short answer is you just never know what idea can turn into a play. But the most important thing to me is that no idea is too small, no idea is too simple to turn into a good play. So if you have any kind of idea about something that seems real to you and seems troubling to you, don't be afraid to try to turn it into a play. Um, all right, let's see, do you know how your plays will come out when you start to write them? Absolutely not. You never know what's going to happen. At least I don't. I usually have a few ideas, and I usually have at least enough of a handful of ideas to start writing. Sometimes, if I'm really lucky, I'll have a few ideas about what might happen somewhere in the middle of the play. Maybe I'll have a little glimmer of an ending or a possibility of something that happens later on in the play. But I never have much more than that. And you always sort of start out on this journey trying to keep the faith alive that you're going to find your way to the end, even if you're not quite sure where the end is or how you're going to get there. And the kind of amazing thing about writing is that usually you can get there. How long does it typically take to write a play? There's no typical anything about working in the theater or writing. Some plays come very quickly and they feel like you're not even quite writing them yourself. It's just happening to you. Some plays take forever and you never finish them. Some things emerge after only a couple of years of work. So being open to all those possibilities and not getting too discouraged if something isn't coming quickly is part of the trick of playwriting. What advice do you have for young or novice writers? Okay. There are a couple practical things that I would suggest. One is that you see as many plays as you can. And if you can't go to the theater, a live theater performance yourself, look online, find performances online that you can watch. There's a lot of good stuff on YouTube, and there are a lot of good filmed productions of plays. So try to find real staged performances that have been filmed as opposed to movies that have been made of plays. And just watch them and see what different people do and see how different plays work. Um, the other piece of advice I would give is try to try to get out of the mode of TV and film, which is where most of us see most of the stuff that we experience these days. So most TV and film scenes are very short and usually aren't anchored to a particular location. And plays can be written that way too. But in general, one of the real strengths of plays is that you can sit longer with characters who are talking together and not being afraid to just stay in one place with a pair of characters or a group of characters as they try to work out a particular situation or hash through a particular problem is one of the real pleasures and satisfactions of both writing and watching a play. So, writing longer extended dialogues than you usually experience when you watch TV or watch a movie is something that's worth striving for when you're writing a play. Would you say that writing a play is more like the exploration of a question or like the expression of an idea? I sort of talked about this already, but I think it's important to me, so I'll say it again. It's usually about a problem, and it's usually about something that is affecting you or that bothers you, even if it hasn't happened to you. It's something that's gotten under your skin. And for me, the more you can write from that place of personal, not necessarily experience, but personal feeling, having a strong feeling about something that's happening to a character, the more likely you are able to write a play. And finally, the last thing I would leave you with is just to say, putting on plays, writing scenes and performing them with your friends is one of the most satisfying things you can do in life, I believe. And it's something anyone can do. Please don't feel daunted as you go about writing plays. Anyone can do it to the degree that they care about the problems and the characters that they're writing about. So just, sit down, think about these people you're creating, think about what matters to them, think about their point of view on the world, and let them talk. And you'll write a pretty good play. Thanks very much and good luck.